Hey ladies, welcome back to the Woman Podcast. My name is Ellen Hutchinson, and today I am joined by the amazing Emily Bezet. Emily, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy you're here. Emily and I have been able to serve at the West Little Rock campus for a really long time, and I'm excited to be able to just sit with you and talk a little bit about this. Emily has written one of the sections of our Bible study, and y'all, it's really, really good. So beautifully written and really genuine and honest. So I'm excited to talk about that. But first, some of y'all can't tell under the table, but our girl is 38 weeks pregnant, and you can't even tell from here because look how beautiful you are.
Thank you.
How are you feeling about it? Getting close?
I'm feeling really ready. He could come right now.
That would be awesome. We would not edit it out. We would just go a little bit longer, and then it would be great to explain to him one day. Say this was the moment. I would take it. Are you doing all the things right now to try and
100%.
Yeah, the spicy food?
Oh yes, 100%.
Yeah, going for a walk.
Yes.
This heat, probably.
I try to do like a thing a day. Honest, that's kind of where I'm at.
Maybe this is the one.
Yes, maybe this is it.
But you look amazing. Is this dress, is it Newly?
No, it's actually not.
You would think. For those of you who don't know, Emily and I basically have our conversations revolve around Newly, which is
Newly girl.
Yeah, we talk about this is not sponsored, but it is where we rent our clothing. It's amazing, and it changed our lives forever. So check it out. You'll be blessed. So.
You will. It's a lot of fun.
But okay, so for real, let's get serious. Okay. You wrote about the woman at the well, and a really riveting story. I think a lot of us are familiar with it, but maybe not everybody.
Right.
So would you mind just kind of giving us a quick rundown of that encounter between her and Jesus, and then tell us what was it about that story that stood out to you, made you want to write about this?
Well, really, we see Jesus here on a journey. He's taking a walk and is tired, and so he decides to take this seat at the well, knowing that he's going to have an encounter with a woman, a Samaritan woman. And really, we see this conversation go from something as simple as something we all need, which is water, to something that is going to change her life forever. And so, what was the second part of your question?
Well, just what was it about her and her story that really stood out to you, that you were inspired to write about?
Right. I truly, honestly love her response to Jesus because there are so many things that, like we talk, there's layers to this, right?
Yes, definitely.
And we see him cross so many things, and for her to just sit and be willing to talk with Jesus about this thing, and then it turned into life change for her. I just really admire that she was just willing to sit in it with him.
I love that. That's such a great perspective on it too, because we do look at her response later when she runs back to the city and tells everybody, but just her decision to stay at that well and have this kind of uncomfortable conversation with Jesus.
Right.
It really is special, and we all certainly glean a lot from it.
Yes,
I think about too how inconvenient it was for them both to be there. What was it about her that why was she at the well at that time?
Right.
Her decision to go in the heat of the day. And, not being able to go when all those other women would have been there.
Right.
And just her carrying a lot of shame. And what was it? Tell us a little bit about why does she have that? Why would she choose the hottest time of the day to go to this place where there's this full sun and she wanted to avoid all of the crowds? And what was it about her life that made her want to avoid people?
Well, yeah, it's this pattern that she had of being in these relationships and it says marriages, so we know she was married, but at the current time, she's with a man who's not her husband, which Jesus will state pretty plainly. And so, it makes you think, does she think this is my only option to go to the well at this certain time so that I don't run into people that maybe I know around town, But I don't know. I just love that she doesn't know the beautiful thing that she's about to walk into either.
Yeah, because sometimes it's, with shame or feeling everybody's thinking about that thing.
Yeah.
That, kind of the elephant in the room. It can make people really jaded. And I'm not saying she wasn't. Maybe she really was with her relationships in the town or in the community. But, she didn't really fight back on like what it's like. It's like even in that hardest place, she still really wanted to hear what Jesus was saying to her. You know?
Yeah. It makes you think, like, was she kind of at her wit's end with something?
You never know.
You never know.
And the timing was right for her then. Yeah. You mentioned this too, that Jesus initiates the conversation by asking for a drink.
Right.
And so we see something like really ordinary, like so many other times of Jesus, become this doorway into something really sacred. We see that a lot in scripture. Was there a time where you related to her where you couldn't really see past the physical needs to your deeper spiritual needs until Jesus like spoke that into you?
Well, this is funny because I recall a time in my I recall, that sounds so weird. I recall. No, a few years ago had surgery. Like, so it was like a truly physical thing. And I remember something I don't know what I was, you look back on your life and you're like, what was I thinking?
Oh,
I don't know what I was thinking.
Feeling.
But I just
can recall.
Like, we're going to bounce back from this. This is not going to be hard at all. And like, truly, it like kind of gut punched me. And I remember driving in my car one day and like hearing the voice of God being like, let me help you with this. And honestly, me being like, no, like I've got my game plan. I'm doing these things to get it together. And honestly, I didn't know that I was about to walk into a season where he really worked on some personal things in my life. So truly a physical thing becoming much more personal. And I'm so glad that God was patient with me in it, because it was very formative to just my personal thought life. Like security, all of those things. So honestly, I can say I can relate.
I love that. I think so many of us have moments that come to mind. And really, it's what you said. It's her response. It's our response to Jesus's invitation of saying, hey, I see that physical need. I'm not pretending like it isn't there.
Right.
But also, like, I want even more for you than you can know. And one thing I love about this story is that she leaves her jar behind.
Yes, I love that too. She's like, forget it.
Yeah, she's like, I can take care of that.
Yeah.
This is so much more important than that. And I love that about Jesus. So he's like searching. He wants more healing for us than we even know how to ask for. Like, she would have never had the audacity to ask what he was offering, And so a lot of times I think in the Old Testament, God tends to emphasize his rule over creation. Like, we see a lot of physical miracles, and we certainly see that in Jesus's ministry. That continues. But there's, he emphasizes his rule over this bloodline of Abraham and David, like that will bring Jesus into the world as fully man and fully God. And then in the New Testament, I feel like it starts to shift to where Jesus is so trying to get us to understand that he rules and reigns over our souls. Like that it's the spiritual as well as the physical, saying, yes, I'm the God of creation, but also like, I'm the God of your soul, the shepherd of your soul.
Right.
And this was such a great moment for us to see that, but it wasn't just for the Jews, because she wasn't a Jew, was she?
No. Yeah, she was a Samaritan woman. And they had a very lengthy, long, tense relationship with one another. So the fact that he is sitting down and talking with this woman of a Samaritan heritage, like that is a lot in itself.
Yeah, even the disciples, when they see him, they're like, you say something. They like are shocked. They're like, what is he doing here? And that's Jesus, and he was a wild card. So they were even that with Jesus, who does all kinds of crazy things, that just totally shocked them. And so for me, I always think, okay, you can look at this on the physical level and the spiritual level. On this physical level, there was massive prejudice among the Jewish people about the Samaritan people, and Jesus is not prejudiced. Like, Jesus is not prejudiced based on these physical things, based on these racial identities, based on gender. Like, she was a woman and she was by herself, and he's like, I can talk to her. It's okay. Like, the socioeconomic status, political ideology. Like, Jesus is not prejudiced about these things. Therefore, like, we cannot be prejudiced about these things. Like, even just the simple takeaway of like, Jesus is the one who neutralizes and bridges the gap between all of humanity. And so we get to walk in the freedom of that, of not being prejudiced and welcoming everybody in any situation. But it's through Jesus, right? Because it's always deeper than just the physical things. It's really beautiful.
It is.
So, okay, he wasn't super concerned about her race or her ethnicity. He didn't care that she was one. He didn't care that she, the status that she found herself in that moment. So you might think, oh, Jesus doesn't care about that stuff. Like, he doesn't care about, we can just live our lives, whatever. We can do whatever we want. We can live however we want. And that actually isn't true, because he didn't care about some things that society really felt like he should care about.
Right.
But then there was one thing he really did care about.
Yes. And that was her lifestyle.
Yeah, like her sin.
Yes, her sin.
And he was bold in confronting that. Why do you think Jesus is unafraid to confront our sin?
I kind of think it's that concept of he loves us too much to let us live our life in that way.
So true.
He knew what was on the other side of a conversation with this woman, and just being willing to name it plainly.
Yeah.
You know?
He didn't make her guess.
No. He said, I know this about you. Let's talk about it.
That's right.
Yeah.
You don't have a husband.
I kind of wonder, I'm like, was she shocked? Was she somewhat refreshed to say, thank you for talking to me about it so plainly?
Yeah.
Because sometimes that's just what I need. And I know when it's like a good friend who says, hey, I see this in you, and actually let's talk about this.
Yep.
I'm like, thank you, because I know that you want more from me than whatever decision, whatever habit I'm in, whatever it is.
So good. Yeah, it like wakes you up to it almost. That's such a good point, that it was probably refreshing for her to just be like, yeah, no, you're right. And when you're in cycles of sin, it's like you can justify almost anything. Yeah. And after it's been years and years and years, and you have to kind of like you kind of become hardened to continue in it. And it's like Jesus just busted through all that. Yes. And he did. It was funny. He was even funny about it, I think. I read it the sarcasm.
I read it that way too. I read the whole story has a little bit of like, I'm like, is it attitude? I'm like, I don't know, but it makes it, I'm like, let's go there. Let's do it.
And you even mentioned that, I think, in one of your writings, like, a little sassy.
Yes.
A little sassy. Is good. He was not he was not upset by that.
No.
He was not. So yeah, I think that part is really cool. That he just kind of breaks right through it. And she stayed.
Yes. And she didn't feel like,
she stayed. How dare you?
Right.
She was like,
yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And it wasn't in the way of like, yeah, I know that about you. That's just who you are.
Yes.
But what was it that he offered her that was like, when did you see it go from the physical offering of water to something a lot deeper than?
Well, he mentions that living water. And he was like, this is what I can offer you. And you won't have that same thirst for whatever it is. For her, it very well could have been relationships. But for us, it could be, you fill in the blank. It could be that thing that we keep going back to, or some idea that we're like, and this will fulfill me.
Yep.
But no, he mentions living water, and it's like something really does shift.
Yeah. Yep. He's like, it's way better than that. It's the kind of thing that makes you leave your jar.
Yeah.
And go and tell people.
Leave your jar.
I always think of that. It's one of those beautiful descriptions that he gives of himself, our daily bread, our living water. It's just so, the imagery of it's gorgeous. But, there's those seasons, like I remember in a season like of grief where everything just feels very dry and like you're just like starved for it, like just so harsh. And then just the acknowledgement of like hope in Jesus for whatever you needed it for. It's enough to get you through. It's enough to not only just quench that dryness or that doubt or whatever it might be, but it's like overflowing, like it's better, it's bubbling, it's fresh, better than we could have even required from a well.
It reminds me, there's a verse I love, because honestly, it's carried me through really just hard seasons again and again. I went to the wrong place.
I always have like 5.
Wait, I usually did go to the wrong place. It's Jeremiah 17.
Was good. Love Jeremiah.
Wherever
it's the wailing prophet, the lamenting prophet. So it's a hard one. It's a hard read. You got to really push through for Jeremiah, but there's some good stuff in there. It's worth it.
Okay, here we go. Okay, Jeremiah 17:7. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought, and it never fails to bear fruit. And honestly, that just like constant source of like in the highs and lows, when days are great, when you're facing something really hard, like that's how you withstand that living water.
Yep. I love that. Yeah. And he takes something that's so real to us, in our human nature. And he's like, that thing you absolutely have to live. Right. I'm like that, but even better. Yeah,
but even better.
So even if y'all didn't know this, Emily and her husband Tanner are really super involved, really across the state with our youth group. But you've been working with the youth for many, many years. And so you've had lots of kind of probably ministry moments that maybe felt parallel to this in some ways. Like, I mean, it doesn't really matter. All of us have our things, but especially, you know, being young and just trying to figure out who am I and who does God say I am and how can I be free? You know, how do you find this as a model for like those ministry moments?
I feel like it on both sides of it, because I think what I do admire about Jesus in the story is that and we know this about Jesus, it's like he's just going to state it plainly. And I kind of think like what she could have maybe brought any response back to him. And he would have been like, and I'm going to sit with you in that. Sure. You know, something honestly I admire a lot about my dad growing up was that I could bring any mistake that I made to him and he would be like, and we're going to talk about it. And it would come with correction too, but I knew that I could trust his response to be very just even and steady. And I'm like, I think that is something that we have in Jesus too. And so I feel like my hope and prayer is, whether it be ministry or honestly like raising my family, I'm like, I want to embody that. Definitely do not ace it, but like, isn't that like such a beautiful goal just to be,
I love that.
Just to be even. Yeah. And then I think on the other side, it really is that willingness to sit through correction or like, let's talk about that thing that needs to be talked about and then I think it is like she goes and shares it with her friends too. And I think when you kind of have that moment of like reconciliation with God on whatever it is, and then you're willing to talk about it, it's like you're healed. You're right on the other side of it.
Definitely.
And so all those things.
I love that.
I would say all of those.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I talk about youth, like I don't have this kind of issue. Like, you know, I'm like, you know, our 30s. I still have that moment at the well with Jesus, you know.
Yeah, same.
Okay, a couple more things. I loved what Jesus said to his disciples after. So they're kind of like, what is he doing? And then he explains it to them and they're trying, she tells everybody and then everyone comes and they all want to talk with Jesus. And they're like, did he even eat? You know, they're blessed us.
Sure.
They're worried about,
focus on that.
has he had any lunch? And Jesus says, but he doesn't need the food. Because he says, my nourishment comes from doing the will of God who sent me and from finishing his work. And he goes on talking about how he is fulfilled by that. I think it's an encouragement to me when I think of that story. You know, when you just feel like the Lord must be so annoyed with you. Like, I'm like, Lord.
I know, I'm like, I'm sorry.
It's me again. I'm sorry. It's the thing from before, like copy and paste, same thing as always. But, you know, not because he wants us to make progress. He wants us to have freedom, but knowing that the Lord isn't like, he loves to set his daughters free. Like he loves to call out who we truly are. He loves to cut through all that stuff and just speak straight to the heart. And you know, is that how you feel, like that living water in your?
Yes, 100%, 100%. I feel, honestly, what's coming to mind, and I don't know if it answers exactly, but I just think about conversations with God when I've been in a really hard place and kind of being able to express every single emotion.
For sure.
And when I finally felt like, oh, I can do this with you because you care about me. You really do care about the highs and lows. And when I got a lot more comfortable expressing that to him, it's like, it kind of felt like we could finally make progress on those same repeating conversations we would have.
What is it? His kindness is what leads us to repentance. And that's definitely on display here. Okay, so one last thing. If there was one thing that you would want the listeners listening to take with them today from the story, what would it be?
Oh, goodness.
I know. Sorry.
I know. It is like one thing. I don't know.
It's one thing.
One thing. Truly, I just think it's the willingness to sit and listen and have the conversation with God that sometimes needs to be said. You know, honestly, I think that's it.
It really is. It's a part of her legacy for sure.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. And I hope you have that baby tonight. I hope you get out of here and just straight to the hospital and have that baby in your arms as soon as possible. But if you were listening to this and you thought, that's what I need to hear more of, make sure you check out the written Bible study. And Emily, you also did a video, didn't you? Just explaining a little bit more about it. So lots of resources for you. Thanks again. And see you soon.
And newly.